welcome back to my channel. My name is Misty and the channel's name of course is Speculative Magpie, and we are here to do another book review. Also two books. They're the shorter novels I got from NightWorms this month. I read them. I decided to do them both together. One is Scanlines by Todd Kingsling. Of course, I've lost that book. I can't find it, so I'm going to put the cover up here. And the other one is Goddess of Filth by V. Castro. And so let's talk about Scanlines first. I'm going to read you the synopsis, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, okay? So Scanlines. In 1987, Congressman Benjamin Hardy III died by suicide on live television amidst accusations of political corruption. Years later, rumors of a recording surfaced among the VHS trading groups and urban legend chat rooms, dubbed the Duncan tape. After the deceased cameraman who attempted to sell the video, the rumors allege that anyone who watches the tape is driven to suicide. Or so the story goes. In truth, no one has ever seen the supposed Duncan tape, presumably because it doesn't exist. It's a ghost story perpetuated on the forums and chat rooms of the internet. Another handful of bytes scattered across the information superhighway at blistering 56K modem speeds. For Robbie and his friends, an urban legend is the last thing on their minds when a boring Friday night presents a chance to download porn. But the short clip they watch turns out to be something far more graphic and disturbing in the coming days. They'll learn even the most outlandish urban legends possess a shred of truth. Now, trigger warning. This book deals with suicide. It's a short book. If I can remember correctly, maybe about 114, 115 pages. If you read this book, don't skip the introduction or the afterword. Both are written by Todd Kingsling, and they are really good and really give you a chance into the author's headspace for this book. This book was excellent. I think I gave it 4 or 5 stars. But it was really, really good. It's short, but a lot happens in the book. It's kind of told in back flashes. Like it mentions, Robbie, Danny, and Jordan were teenagers in like 1998. And instead of getting the porn that they wanted to see Jenna Jameson's tits. They accidentally downloaded this, and they didn't pay attention, and they opened the clip, and they saw this guy commit suicide, and it really messed them up. It messed them up so much that their friendship really took a strain on what was going on. And not to mention, the guy in the clip started to haunt them. They started to see the man who killed himself everywhere. On people's faces, in screens, staring at them out the windows. And they each dealt with it in different ways. Now, they tried to find out where this tape came from, trying to get this haunting to stop, and they just couldn't. By the time you start reading the book, you find out that Jordan and Danny have already passed away. One presumably accidentally, and then one through an overdose. And so we're just left with Danny. Robbie. Danny's the one that died from the overdose. I'm sorry. With me not having the book here, it's really hard for me to do the review. And so what happens is Danny wrote basically a journal. His therapist, trying to get him to come to terms with what happened to him, wrote a journal. And after he passes away, Robbie gets the journal and he starts reading it and finding out exactly what Robbie went through after this block of time when they were teenagers happened, because they did lose touch. Jordan found religion, so he didn't really want to have much to do with his druggy brother Danny, and Danny had, due to addiction, taken advantage of Robbie sometimes. They mention in the book that Danny, stole from him, that kind of thing. So they had lost touch, and even though Danny has lasted longer, he still sees this man everywhere. And it's just a really good allegory to depression, addiction, and kind of nostalgic through, if you're old like me, you remember the internet back then. 56K was a fast download. And just so much happens in this book. This book is dark. This book is creepy. This book is scary. Definitely worth the read. I've been meaning to read Todd Kingsling's Devil Creek for a while now. I just haven't picked it up. But this is definitely up to my desire to read him, because this book was just so well written, and just from the author's own thoughts on this story, you can see how much he put into this, which is, kind of sad for, that he went through all of that. But it was just so good. Highly recommend picking up Scanlines. The press that's releasing it right now is releasing it with like 150 signed copies with special cover art. The one that I get, which I'll show you, is upsetting. Trigger warning. Obviously a man is committing suicide on the cover. You can see that. That was kind of surprising when I pulled it out of the NightWorms packaging. So, but yeah, I highly recommend this book. It was so good, and it definitely one of those stories that's going to stay with you after a while, because you really got a lot to think about once you read that book. So pick it up, support small presses and Todd Kingsling. So now let's talk about Goddess of Filth. This is written by V. Castro. There she is on the back. This is another 5-star reads. This was so good. I'm going to read you the back and then we'll talk about it. All right, so here we go. 5 of us sat in a circle doing our best to emulate the girls in the craft, hoping to unleash some power to take us all away from our home to the place of our dreams. But we weren't witches. We were 5 Chicanas living in San Antonio, Texas, 1 year out of high school. One hot summer night, best friends Lourdes, Fernanda, Anna, and Perla, and Pauline hold a seance. It's all fun and games at first, but their tipsy laughter turned to terror when the flames burn straight through their prayer candles, and Fernanda starts crawling towards her friends and chanting in, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this wrong. I do not mean it disrespectfully. I just am not able to pronounce the words. Nahuatl, the language of their Aztec ancestors. Over the next few weeks, shy, modest Fernanda starts acting strangely, smearing herself in black makeup, shredding her hands on rose thorns, sucking sin out of the mouths of the guilty. The local priest is convinced it's a demon, but Lourdes begins to suspect it's something else, something far more ancient and powerful. This was so surprising. I expected your regular possession. I don't need that anymore, so I'll close that so there's no more reflection in my glasses. Your random run-of-the-mill possession book. It's like, okay, she's possessed, priest is going to come and save her and everything's going to be fine. That's not what this book is about. This book is about 5 young women coming into their own power. They're literally on the cusp of being adults. They're technically considered adults, but they're not quite there yet. And Fernanda's this innocent, sheltered girl, and she, out of all of them, is the one that's going to be breaking free and going to college. And so they throw this party for her, and just for fun, for shits and giggles, while they're drinking tequila, they do like a Ouija board possession seance kind of thing. And Lourdes, who is sort of like the bad girl of the group, but stronger than she thinks, uses her theatrics, and instead of calling a ghost or a demon, they somehow tap into this ancient female goddess power. And of course, you know, powerful ancient goddesses are not, you know, dressed in white robes and, you know, singing songs. They're earthy, they're primal, and Fernando taps into this, and it scares everybody. But this goddess can't communicate because she speaks this ancient language. And so these girls have to deal with this goddess trying to teach them to harness their powers, while this crazy priest is trying to go after them. And it is so good. There's so much in here about, you know, women finding their strength, women finding their stories, women learning about where they came from, especially these Latina women here who, throughout this book, you know, it says they're marginalized, they're looked down upon, they don't have the options that a lot of people, but this goddess comes in here and, like, in a frightening way, kind of shows them how much more than what they're pigeonholed into, how much more they can be. And it is such a good book. I need to read more by her. It's just so good. And it's definitely, I think, people need to read this book. Women need to read this book. Latina women need to read this book. It's a really important, it's a really good story, and some really messed up, creepy parts in here that are just fantastic. This book made me laugh. It kind of broke my heart a little bit, but it was just so good. Every character in here is just amazing, and 5 out of 5 stars. Definitely read this book. I really think I have one more book from the NightWorms to read that I think I'll read next. But yeah, this was definitely a good NightWorms book this time around, and I am glad that I got it, and it definitely made up for the month before. So yeah, this was a good book. Definitely Scanlines and Goddess of Filth. Definitely pick these up. So good. And I love the cover art. You can see there's a spine on there. A spine on the spine. Get it? Pun. Okay. So yeah, thank you for coming back so we can talk about some books and things. And I will see you next time, hopefully with another review for The Death Coat, which is the book I'm finishing up. And I think I might do a like monthly wrap up. Maybe, we'll see. I don't know. So I will talk to you guys later. Thank you for coming back, and come back again so we can talk some more about some books and things. Bye, y'all.